You doing the intro?
The show can't start until we crack open a bottle of Revelton. Whether it's their crisp, clean vodka, the bold spice of their rye whiskey, the rich smoothness of bourbon, or the original honey whiskey that started it all, every pour is a taste of craft and passion straight from the heart of Iowa. So pour yourself a drink, settle in, and get ready to relax, laugh, and enjoy the show.
Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
If you want to know where the storm rolls next, you got to read the clouds over old Midwest. Every yard, every basket, every mat that's worn, you learn to see the future by tracking the storm. We're tracking the storm, watching it form, from Jack Trice's courage to the heroes yet born. Hilton lights shining like lightning in the night. Jack Trice way, glowing in the stadium lights. From the sweat in the barn to the roar in the stands, every cyclone story's written in the land. Yeah, the path gets clearer with each legend swarm. We're keeping eyes on tomorrow by tracking the storm. Dwayne Crutchfield, pounding turf like rain. Big 8 Saturdays, driving through the pain. 2 years, rushing past 1,000 on the ground. Made the whole conference feel that thunder sound. Then Troy Davis hit the hole like a flash. Back to back, 2,000 turn records into ash. Heisman nights, but win or lose that day, the cyclone in his chest never blew away. Seneca rolled out, crowd holding its breath. The run cut like lightning through Tex Red West. 112-yard touchdown, 100 yards more. Sometimes a single scramble rewrites the law. So if you want to know.
Hey, man. Welcome to a fourth edition of Tracking the Storm. And, we started it off a few weeks ago with Dave Archer and had Jim Walden. And then we had Matt Brown a few days ago. And now we're cranking it up with Coach Dan McCarney. I mean, talk about hearing it the way it needs to be told. Talk about today. Talk about past. Talk about his days growing up in Iowa City, from his days of coaching to Iowa State and what he's doing today. Looking forward to everything that he's had to say and what he's done. And Kent and I were both fortunate enough to know him from the high school years on. And I can't wait to just get into this real quick with everything going on with the portal and just everything. So, Coach McCarney, so glad you could make it here. Man, don't hold back. Let's let it rip, man.
I will, Keith. Ken, great to be with you guys. Honored to be with you. You got to put up with the B team. You've had some of the A team guys on already to start your show this year, and then you're not. Now you got to mess with the B team tonight. But great to be with you. Your intro there, man. I got some goosebumps going on me right now.
Righto.
Great job.
Chris did a great job of that. He's got his little AI working for us, and the whole song, it just goes through the history of a lot of the different players. But I liked how they extended it today with talking about Troy Davis, and you saw it firsthand with Troy. So that's some great memories for us as fans when he was playing. But also talk about Dwayne Crutchfield, and unfortunately, when you coached against us at that time, you got to see Dwayne bruise people's earlobes and everything else when he ran. So it's quite a history. You're a big part of it. We went through some rough times, as we kind of talked about before we got on air, and I'd love to hear a lot about how you saw the Iowa development, because you were there when it was a little lean at Iowa too, and then all of a sudden, bam, it got really good. But Coach, kind of take us back to where you started. I know Iowa City was home, and the Eastern Iowa is where all three of us were from. So just kind of, if you don't mind talking from there and just kind of giving us a 5-minute tour of that, and let's get going.
Yeah, first of all, guys, again, great to be with you, and a great job. No surprise with the success you're having already, knowing you guys, and it's funny how it works. You see these young guys coming out of high school, as I saw both you guys when you're coming out, and you have class, and you have character, and you have work ethic, and you have integrity, and you have loyalty. And it's amazing how successful those guys can go on and be in college with football, and then how you retain those characteristics and you're real successful in life after college and after you hang those pads and that helmet up for the last time. And you two are sure good examples of that. I'll always be proud of being from the state of Iowa. I'm sure you guys feel the same way. I live in Sarasota, Florida now. We bought a home down here for the first time in 2000. I actually came to Florida the first time my freshman year at Iowa. 4 of us got in a Volkswagen Bug and drove from Iowa City, Iowa to Daytona Beach, Florida. And that was the first time I'd ever been to Florida, the first time I'd ever seen the ocean. But I got hooked on in Florida and love it here and appreciate it, but always appreciate coming back to Iowa. Love the people in the state of Iowa. You run into people through all the years, airports and high schools and grocery stores and a lot of places I can hide in the country. I can't hide when I come back to Iowa. But it's a great place, guys, as you know. And people have asked many, many times, that didn't live in Iowa or grew up in Iowa like the 3 of us did. What's so special about Iowa? What's the big deal about Iowa? What the hell do you have in Iowa? I've been asked about 50, 60, 70 times. Don't you guys have potatoes?
Yeah.
I really look at them and I want to go, no, you dumbass. We have corn and beans and pigs and cows, and we feed the world. That's what I want to say to them. And but it's a great place. I grew up in Iowa City, as you mentioned. My dad was chief of police for many years. My mom worked at the dental school there for 30 years. There's a scholarship named in her honor. I wasn't anything special coming out of Iowa City High, even though we had a great year. The fall of 70, I graduated in the spring of 71. The fall of 70 was the last year that they didn't have playoffs. Before they started playoffs, it was the last year before they started the Shrine Game. So I wasn't a part of any of those, but we had a great run. City High, when we were sophomores, the varsity didn't win a game. It was the worst team in school history. And then we turned it around and we won the Mississippi Valley first time in 20 years. My senior year, we finished in the top 3 in the state of Iowa because back then, without playoffs, it was just by voting. But because of the success of that team, I got some opportunities. We didn't sign the national letter of intent till May, guys, till May. And so you could go visit as many schools as you wanted. That wasn't limited to 5 like you guys were. I actually signed the conference letter of intent at Iowa State. Johnny Majors and Jackie Sherrill were in my home at least 14, 15 times, not because I was a great player. It was because my dad had the best bar in Eastern Iowa. So whenever they came over to recruit the eastern third of the state, Jackie and Johnny, they would finish at our house, come see mom and dad, come see me for a little bit, but then sit there and shoot the shit and have cocktails with my dad. And I was unbelievably impressed with both of them. I came within inches of signing the national letter of intent with Iowa State. Some Iowa City players that had gone to Iowa and played kind of rallied at the right before I ended up signing at Iowa. Wasn't a part of a winning season or a bowl game. Got 2 shots in the NFL with the Atlanta Falcons, Denver Broncos. Wasn't good enough. Got cut in August. Both times, Kent Stevenson, who was my coach at Iowa, said, you need to get your ass into coaching. And because I really didn't know what I was going to do. You need to get your butt into coaching. And that's what I ended up doing. So with Bob Cummings, I was a graduate assistant for 2 years. Then they established part-time status. With the best part about that, guys, you got to go on the field and coach, but as you can as a GA, but then you were allowed to go on the road and recruit. So Ken Stevenson took me and said, let's go. I'm going to bring your ass with me. And you're going to go everywhere I go, which I did. So I learned from him. I learned from Johnny Majors and Jackie Sherrill, especially about recruiting, building relationships, closing deals, building that respect and that trust with families. And it really did help me as I went on and further into the coaching profession. Then in 1979, Hayden Fry was hired. I figured to be the fastest interview in the history of interviews. He interviewed all the coaches on Bob Cummings' staff. I was the youngest, least experienced. And about 20 minutes into it, he said, well, Dan, what do you think about being my tight end coach? And he was interviewing all of us in Bump Elliott's office, the athletic director. I jumped up off the couch. I was shocked. Honest to God, I was shocked that I was going to get any opportunity to stay at my alma mater and coach. And so thank God he saw something in me that I sure as hell never saw. And he gave me that great opportunity. And then The defensive line coach left and went back to Texas after spring ball. He gave me the defensive line, and then the rest is history, as they say. And honestly, none of us that got these great opportunities, guys, in coaching would have ever had the chance to do that without Hayden Fry. And I don't want to speak for the other coaches, but I know because I was there with them and spent a decade with all these guys, Barry Alvarez, Kirk Ferentz, Bill Snyder, Bobby Stoops. We were all together during that time. And without Hayden and seeing those great things in us, Kirk and I were in the trenches together, offensive and defensive line coaches for a decade. Little did I know I was going to end up coaching against him someday as head coaches at Iowa State. But we went on, as you know, to unprecedented success. Iowa had lost for 20 years, pathetic excuse for football for 2 decades. Nowadays, young people go, they don't even understand it. They don't get it. There's no way that Iowa was bad. Yeah, we stunk. The last time Iowa had a good program was Forrest Evashevsky before Hayden Fry came. And Evie went to the 57 and 59 Rose Bowls, won them both, something that Hayden and Kirk have never been able to do, go to the Rose Bowl and win them. Evie did that. But great success with Hayden, obviously. I felt like if I was going to be a head coach, I had to go be a coordinator, be in charge of half a football team. So Barry and I reunited in Madison. Wisconsin was a horrible football program at the time. They had 32,000 in Camp Randall, average the year before we got there. So listen to this guy. So Hayden brings in this Barry brings in this high-powered, supposedly staff. Bernie Wyatt, one of the great recruiters in all of America from the East Coast, came with us. I came. Billy Callahan, future head coach in the NFL. Brad Childress, future head coach in the NFL. High-powered staff. And our asses went 1-10 our first year. So you can imagine what some of those fans must have been thinking at that stage. Oh, yeah, these are big-time coaches and recruiters. We won one damn game. Fortunately, 4 years later, we went 10-1. We won the Big Ten. We won the Rose Bowl, first time in 100 years. That allowed me, because of the success of being a part of the Iowa and the Wisconsin programs, because of the success of the programs, Barry came in. It was the next year after the Rose Bowl. We were having another great year. It was late in the year. Barry came in and said, Mac, I got a phone call about you today. I said, what for? He said, Gene Smith called. I said, who's that? I didn't know. You're so buried in the season and trying to win games. Who's that? He goes, he was the athletic director at Iowa State. Well, Coach Walden, as you know, had just gotten let go before the Colorado game. He was suspended for that game and didn't coach the last game of his career. But anyway, he was let go, and he said, well, he wants to talk to you about the head coaching job at Iowa State. And I said, what do you think about that? I said to Barry, what do you think about that? Because we not only played them all those years at Iowa, but then we played Iowa State twice when we were at Wisconsin. I still have the game ball. 7-6, we beat Iowa State, and it sure as hell wasn't because of great defense. It was just 2 really bad offenses, really bad. But I still got the game ball, 7-6. We played against Iowa State. Long story short, I go in. You hear about all these fancy hotels that head coaches get interviewed by ADs. Getting on a jet and going here, going to this fancy lounge here. I was interviewed for the head job at Iowa State at Denny's in Madison, Wisconsin. Denny's. That's a true story. 3 hours I Smith and I spent together in Denny's in Madison, Wisconsin, and he bought that day. And so anyway, then I came in, interviewed in Ames. He didn't tell me who I was gonna meet with. We went to Dr. Jiski's office, walked into a big meeting room. There was probably 15 to 20 people in there. Gary Thompson, a lot of their great Cyclones, a lot of their great people, distinguished people. And I went in there and I said, listen, here's what I'm gonna do. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm either gonna get this job, and I didn't know if I was their top guy or their 20th guy, no idea. But I went in and I thought to myself, I'm going to be as honest as I possibly can because I've been coaching and recruiting against Iowa State for many years. They're either going to love what I have to say about the future and what we can do, or they're going to run me out of here as fast as they can. Anyway, I thought things went well. Gene flew me back to Madison, didn't say a word, poker face all the way. About another 5-6 days went by, hadn't heard anything. I'm going about my business, trying to help Wisconsin win another football game. And I got a call from Gene, and he goes, Dan, he said, I want you to answer a question. I said, what's that, Gene? He said, do you have an agent? And I said, no. And he said, well, you sure as hell better get one because I'm going to offer you the head job at Iowa State University. So that's how it all began. As you guys know, it was a really rough situation we stepped into. We had a long ways to go in a lot of ways, but I'll always cherish my 12 years at Iowa State. I'll always be proud of my players and coaches and what they gave and how they committed to the cause to bring back honor and integrity and success and winning. And I love the opportunity to go back, which I do many times, to Ames, Iowa. So that's in kind of a nutshell. And things didn't work out after 12 years at Iowa State. I ended up as assistant head coach, defensive line coach at South Florida. We went to number 2 in the country. We had a great run because of the success of that program. I'd interviewed and was offered the job at South Alabama to start football from scratch. They had $12 million in the budget. Joe Gottfried was the AD. His brother Mike Gottfried was his brother, and both of them double teamed me. And I went to Atlanta and interviewed, and they sold me on starting the program from scratch. So I needed to sleep on it. My wife and I, Margie and I, went to to Mobile. They treated us like royalty. They were unbelievable people. And then I just said, let me give me a night to sleep on it and think about it. And we were going to do the press conference the next day. Meanwhile, I get a call from Urban Meyer, and he said, what are you doing? I said, getting ready for a press conference. And he said, what? For what? I said, for football at South Alabama. He said, well, hell, they don't even play football. I said, I know they don't, but they want to start from scratch, and they want me to be the head coach. And he said, that's great, Mac. Here's what you need to do. One time in your life, go somewhere where you'll play a schedule the entire season, and no one will ever have better players than we will. There's going to be 2 or 3 or 4 teams that will have as good of players as us. No one will ever have better players than us on their schedule throughout the year. You've never been able to do that, and you should do that one time in your life. And another thing, one time in your life, you should get to the top of the mountain and hold that national championship trophy and get a big-ass national championship ring.
Wow.
I didn't sleep at all the whole night, decided to go to Florida. We went 30-2 the first 32 games. We did win a national championship. And because of that success, I got a chance to go to North Texas one more time. Hayden, Mean Joe Green sent a video. They were opening a new stadium. It was a recruiting video for me to come to the head coach of North Texas, and I couldn't say no. So they were in the bottom 10. We brought them back to success, won 9 games, won only the 3rd bowl game in school history. Didn't sustain the success like I hoped we could have, and I ended up retiring. And now I'm in Sarasota, Florida. So hope that wasn't too long, guys. But
no, that was fantastic.
Fascinating.
That was my run. I got 45 years in Division I as a player and coach. Just incredible opportunities, incredible experiences. Honestly, top of the mountain. I saw it all during those 45 years. 21 bowl games, 4 programs that were bottomed out: Iowa, Wisconsin, Iowa State, and North Texas, and we brought back success in winning to all of them. South Florida had been struggling. We had a great run. And then even though Florida had success with Urban, when I took the job, they had just given up almost 750 yards of offense to Michigan, got their ass kicked by Michigan in the bowl game, and Urban was pissed about their defense. So we got that right and had a lot of fun and had a lot of success. And now I get to go back and go to the reunions and go see my guys and relive all these great memories that we had. But those 12 years at Iowa State will always be so special. My kids grew up Cyclones. My 3 children grew up Cyclones. And to this day, they all proudly still wear their Iowa State stuff. Some of it still from the years that I was there. Continue to wear that stuff for pajamas or wear it when they're working in the law, but they got their Iowa State stuff that they saved from years ago.
We touched a little bit about this on the phone when we talked the other day, but it really hit home just now. 45 years in coaching and playing. 7 schools I counted. 6. Most college football coaches have 6 schools in 10 years. Loyal son forever true. That you could put that above your mantle. That is absolutely a fact. And that's phenomenal. That just doesn't happen in the world today. And look at it now. It's still coaches are moving and shaking and getting out and going where they're going. And it's unfortunate in some respects, but and then on the same token, you look at the portal and everything going on with it, and it's not the same game that you started with in 1973 in Iowa, or as you went along your way coaching. It's drastically changing.
It's changed a lot, Keith. It really has. And the thing that I hate, one of the things that there's some things that are really great about it, and there's some things I don't like about it. When there's over 10,000 that jumped into the transfer portal this year, I've heard different figures but at least I think there's at least a couple thousand that did not find a home. Where the hell are they going to go? You think they're going to try and go back to school if they said, I'm leaving because I don't want to be here anymore? Oh yeah, the doors are going to be wide open for them to come back. Sure. I just hate that. But the thing that's really isn't around as much as that you wanted it to be, and to me, it was at the heart of everything that we learned in athletics. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, is loyalty. Right. And I was raised in a home like that. We were blue collar all the way. We didn't have lots of anything real fancy, but we were taught really hard work. Each of us got jobs as soon as we could when we were really young, because mom and dad said, get your ass out there and you're going to learn the value of earning money and saving money and feeling good about doing something. We did that at a young age. And then the other thing that was so important in our family, and I learned, and then you just lived off it, it was at the heart of everything that we did, and we thrived off it, was loyalty. Right. And it was unconditional. It was uncommon. It was unconventional. It was that kind of loyalty. You build it, you sustained it. It was the heart of everything that we did. And nowadays, it's just, you don't see nearly as much of it in businesses, in families, in football teams, in basketball teams, in athletic teams. It's hard to say that the heart of everything we do is loyalty, and players are leaving, and you see quarterbacks at 4 different schools in 5 years. And I use that position because it's such a high profile one, but it's the truth. Players are heading out all over the place. And that part I hate. Amidst it all, though, guys, college football is still thriving. It's thriving. Yeah. When we played for the national championship in the same stadium that they're going to play in tomorrow night in Miami, Florida, we beat Bobby Stoops in Oklahoma, who was averaging 57 points a game, leading America in offense. We held him to 14 somehow, some way, and won that game. We had at that night, I think there was over 30 million that watched our game for the national championship. Tomorrow night, I think they're going to just blow right past that figure of how many people are going to watch that game to see if Indiana or Miami ends up winning the national championship. So the game is thriving, even though there's a lot of things that need to be worked on, but the game itself is alive and well.
Yeah,
that's amazing, Coach. I have a question for when you came to Iowa State and started there. What were some of what were your priorities coming in? I think that would that have been your first head coaching
absolutely
gig? What were your priorities, and how is that different today with the NIL and the portal of starting a program? What did you emphasize? I know, for example, you high school coaches in Iowa loved you. I mean, you obviously made it a point, but just tell us what was important then, and is that the same today?
Yeah, I've been out of it a while now, Ken. It's a great question. I mean, I've been out of it a while now. I do stay in touch. I'm really lucky to still be connected. I still got a lot of my former assistants that are out coaching. I've got 2 of them. So 3 of them that are in the NFL right now. Charlie Partridge left Indianapolis Colts, the defensive line coach, just took the defensive line job at Notre Dame. The defensive coordinator at Notre Dame happens to be Chris Ash, one of my guys, which I'm really proud of those guys and the success they've had already. Tony Alford's one of the highest paid, one of the most successful running back coaches in the country. He was at Ohio State. Of all places, he left and went to Michigan. And then fortunately was retained by the new Michigan coach that came in from Utah, who's a heck of a football coach and going to try and bring some character and integrity back to that program that's been missing. And then I've got a couple of my guys were coordinators in the NFL. Anyway, the bottom line is when you bring guys, when you get started, the good thing for me is that I had been in those situations at Iowa and Wisconsin, Kent, where it had been so bad for so long. And we did it the right way. We built a great foundation. And when you do that as an assistant and as a coordinator, it really does give you belief and confidence and hope that you can do it. Now, I got to transfer that to everybody in the program that we can get this done. And I'll never forget my senior poster that we made. You guys probably did the same thing. You come to a senior year, we used to always make posters. The families loved it. The fans loved it. The players loved it. Everybody loved those things. My first one was a crane outside after they knocked down the old building and we were going to build a Jacobson building. And there were 9 seniors in my senior picture. That was it, me and 9 seniors. But we wanted to give people hope that we could do this thing. And the first thing we had to do was draw a line in the sand and say, okay, listen, Iowa, you've always had more money. You've always had better facilities. You've always had more success in the big picture. You've got a lot more big donors than we had here at Iowa State. But we're going to draw a line in the sand. And somehow, some way, we're going to turn this thing where players and recruits and families want to come look at Iowa State. And eventually we'll make it a destination rather than a second or third or fourth choice if they don't get their first or second or third choice. Because that's what it was for a long time, guys. We're not kidding anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's the way it was. So let's give them hope that we can turn this thing into a great place, because the academics were phenomenal. Many of the sports, men's and women's, were so damn good. But there was so many struggles at Iowa State for so long. Stop and think about it now. We just had a reunion for a 25-year reunion for our 2000 Inside.com Bowl team. That was the first bowl victory in frickin' school history.
Yep.
First one. Johnny Majors had 2. Earl Bruce had 2. They were 0-4 in the 4 bowl games. We got the first one. Obviously, we built on that and did a lot of positive things, stopped this ridiculous, humiliating, embarrassing 15-year losses to Iowa, turned that thing around. I went 6-6 to 12 years that we were there. Bottom line is, if I drop dead tomorrow, we brought the rivalry back. It's alive and well now, thank God.
Yeah.
And then Campbell came in and took the program to places it had never been before. And now the new coach gets to come in and hopefully build on that great success that Matt Campbell has had. But it's never easy, Matt. Ken, it's never easy when you come in and guys just don't know what it takes, and they have not had any success, and they've just been beat down and knocked down and laughed at and humiliated. And you go on the road every year and you're at homecoming games for the opponent in freaking September, and you're surely in homecoming games in October, and your last game of the year, if you're on the road, they're saving the homecoming game for the Cyclones. You wonder why? Because they're figuring they're going to kick their ass, our ass, and make you look silly and make all the alumni feel good about coming back to their alma mater. So those were things that we had to get turned around. Give them belief, make them proud, make people proud about putting on the Iowa State T-shirt and an Iowa State hat and an Iowa State sweatshirt, and stop the nonsense of you can't win and you can't sustain success and you can't go toe-to-toe with Iowa, and bring some honor and respect and success back. And it sure as hell wasn't easy, guys, because when a program is winless, which it was, that's just one major evaluation of where you're at. What I really didn't know, and I found out, and this isn't for a pat on my back, this is more for my assistants and for the players that bought in. The fundraising was in the dark ages. The facilities were in the dark ages. The ability to go toe to toe with people and line up and say, okay, we're going to have the salaries that we can bring good coaches in and retain good coaches. That was in the dark ages. And I lost 3 really fine coaches during my tenure. It was all salary. They loved Iowa State. They loved Ames. Their families loved Ames, but they left because we still weren't paying enough. Thank God those days are done now, guys. Coaches are getting paid good. Facilities, as you know, it's a whole new world. But we had to start from scratch, Kent, and say, listen, we're going to build this thing the right way. Anybody that touches this program, I don't care who you are. If you're a part of this program and you touch this program, then let's do this. Let's hold our heads high. Let's bring our shoulders back. Let's say we're proud to be Cyclones. Every day it's going to be a bitch. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. But eventually, each day when we leave at nighttime, let's make sure the program's just a little bit better than it was when we got there in the morning. And eventually, someday, we're going to have a lot of fun. And we're going to have a lot of good celebrations. And we're going to make people proud. And one of the things that I always told my guys, and I really experienced it now that I've retired, guys, to go back. I remember always telling my guys at Iowa State, someday you're going to really want to come back here with your children and your grandkids and your wife and your families and anybody else and celebrate what you did, what you accomplished, the places we took it that had never been there before. You're going to really enjoy that long after my ass is gone. You're going to want to come back here and experience that and be so proud of your years and your time and your contributions and what you did for Iowa State. And that's the really cool thing that I get to do now. I started the year in Ireland, went with my son, Eric Anderson, Zach Butler, some of my captains, the McNulty boys. Their dad, who passed away, was one of my closest friends. We all went to Ireland together. Matt lets me talk to the team on Friday before you're playing on Saturday. You don't want some outsider, and you don't need a distraction. I was just so honored that Matt let me talk to the football team. Then we came right back for our Inside.com Bowl reunion. Then 2 weeks later, I went to Iowa City for our 1985 Rose Bowl reunion. Kirk had me talk to the team as an honorary captain. It was the day they played Indiana. 2 weeks later, I got to go back to Madison, Wisconsin. They brought in all three of Barry Alvarez's Rose Bowl champion teams. Incredible experience, going 1-10 to 10-1 at Wisconsin. And then I came back because I knew when Gene Smith got it inducted into the Iowa State Hall of Fame, I wanted to go back for that one because he hired Billy Finley and I within months of each other. Great friends with Billy, love him, incredible coach, incredible person. And Gene was the one that saw something in me that I was just so unbelievably honored that he let me run that program, take that thing over. At the time, there was only 126 Division I head coaches in America, and he brought me in to turn that program around. So I had to go back for that. And those experiences, guys, you just can't put a value on it. There's just no value on being able to go back and celebrate those great times. I will say this. There's a lot of stories. There's a lot of laughs. Some of the stories are even true. But it's a lot of fun.
Did you start the Letter Winners Club? Was that with you or?
Yeah, this is a true story now. One of the many questions I asked once I got through, I said, Gene, I'm trying to hire a staff. Here's Brant Yoakum, one of my teammates at Iowa from Sheraton, Iowa. We were captains. One of my guys, I had a window that you pull the window open and shut, and it was open because my office was about 95 degrees, and I was trying to get some fresh air in there. Yoke stuck his head in the window and says, "How about them Cyclones?" I said, "Get your ass in here, Yokes." He came in. I gave him a tour of the facilities. We got through with it. I said, "What do you think?" He goes, "Mac, I'll be honest with you." He's from Sheraton, Iowa. We said, "We have a better facility setup. We have a better weight room in Sheraton High School than you do here at Iowa State." And it was the truth. It wasn't an exaggeration. But anyway, it was just so much fun to be a part of that and start it from scratch, and then bring back these guys now all these years later to celebrate those great times. But I love my time there. Love the opportunities that we had. And the best part about it, guys, is going back and seeing those players you coached. Like you guys, when you come back, you get to see your teammates and enjoy these great times that we celebrated many years ago.
I know we had one of the very first ones that I was able to go to after coaching was I think it was in 98. And I think we had 55 guys or something like that came back for Letter Winners Weekend. And it just, you could feel it kind of growing a little bit at that time. We talked about, bring somebody back, come back next year and bring another one back. And I believe last year we had 560 guys.
Unbelievable, Keith.
Letter Winners back for the just south of the stadium. And
yeah. Excuse me.
The camaraderie that we had was horrible because we had Johnny Majors guys, Earl Bruce's guys, Donnie Duncan guys, Jim Grinder guys, so on and so forth. And there was never the tie in between all of it. And I got to give you the credit, man. You tied that together along with Coach Walden. Coach Walden did a hell of a job with a lot of cards stacked against him, but he brought that together as well. And without you guys, I don't know what we would have there at Iowa State.
Yeah, I didn't finish that. I got off on a tangent there. Sorry about that. But because I asked Gene, I said I had staff coming, interviewing guys, trying to sit down and talk to each player. I remember Troy Davis coming in. He had a great T-shirt on and shorts, big hole in it. this wasn't like this was some real special guy. Troy didn't even hardly play much the year before I got there, his freshman year. And yet he took a kickoff back against Colorado the last game of the year, but he didn't have many carries. He didn't have many. It wasn't like, oh, get this guy to stay because he's going to be a Heisman finalist. He's going to go 2,000 yards in the next 2 years. I was just trying to get on to him because I heard good things about him. I hadn't even had a chance to watch any film on him. And I heard he was packing his bags and going back to Miami, which he was. Thank God I got him talked into staying and just giving us an opportunity because we're going to run the football and we're going to do it the right way and we're going to give you a lot of opportunities. But my point is, when that was all going on, I remember asking Gene either the first or second day, I said, listen, I'd like to talk to the president of the Letterman's Club, and just visit with him just for 5 minutes, just to introduce myself. He kind of giggled, looked down a little bit. And I said, what's so funny? He goes, we don't have one. I go, no, you're not serious. He goes, no, we don't have one. I said, all these years in the Big 8 with the great athletes and some phenomenal teams in men's and women's sports, we don't have a letter. He goes, no, we don't have a Letterman's Club. So I knew right then that we got issues. And that's one of the first things you better have. And I said, well, that was a dumb question on my part. And here's even a dumber one than that. I said, well, if we don't have a Letterman's Club, we must not have a Hall of Fame at Iowa State. He goes, no, there's no Hall of Fame. So to answer your question, we got all that stuff started. Gene Smith headed it up. And we started stirring it all up and start giving people a reason to want to come back. There's got to be an organization. There's got to be a communication. There's got to be follow-up. We have all that now. As you mentioned, Keith, Coach Walden, love him when he comes back. Love to see him. His players all respect the hell out of him. I stay in touch with him. I've done some of his shows with him. I know it didn't work out in the end with Coach Walden, but he gave an awful lot to Iowa State. He gave an awful lot to college football. I have tremendous respect for him. And but it was just cool to see all that thing built. And then I'll shut up here in a second, I promise. But we had my guys that got together and surprised me, and they wanted to do something special. And I have no idea. I thought we were just coming for a golf reunion. So a whole bunch of my guys, boom, 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 boom. This was about 4 years ago. Long story short, they had raised the money that needed to be raised for an endowment. They named the Iowa State letter winners offices after me and the family. And it was all money. There was no donors. There was no coaches involved. These were just former players that put all that together. And it was so organized. It was just such a cool thing that Matt Campbell was so impressed with what my guys had done. He said, what do you think about if we have a golf outing in the spring and invite back anybody that played at Iowa State, gave all they had, whether they were starters, backups, great teams, shitty teams, doesn't matter. I said, unbelievable idea. I'll help you. And I said, my guys will jump in and take the bull by the horns, and we'll get a great turnout. So the last couple of years we've done that. Great turnout, huge turnout. The golf course was full. We invited guys, if you didn't want to golf, come to it afterwards. Matt and I spoke. And it's just another way, guys, to connect and bring guys together and be proud of what they did in their year at Ames, Iowa.
Yeah, that was a fun time. I missed it the year before, and I was able to get there this year. And I'm hoping, Coach Rogers and his staff will continue that on. I got to try to figure out how to reach out to him and see what I can do to help get that going. I know he's busy as hell. Have you had a chance to talk to Coach Rogers at all yet?
I have not. No, I have not. And just heard good things about him. Obviously, he had great success at South Dakota State as a defensive coordinator and head coach, and then he had the 1 year at Washington State. So, but we just got to trust Jamie Pollard in this one, guys, because he hired Matt Campbell, and Matt Campbell sure wasn't any household name.
No, that's true.
Came in, and we could not have had a better guy the last 10 years leading our Cyclone football program. He hired TJ. That's been a pretty good hire.
Yeah.
Otzenberger, they've struggled a little bit last couple of games. Billy's struggling a little bit with a couple starters out, but it's just such a phenomenal time at Iowa State to be a part of it, to be a fan, to be a former athlete, and to let people know how proud we all are to be Cyclones.
Coach, we're going to pay some bills here real quick, and Kent will come back with your question. We're going to pay some bills real quick. Come back, and then one thing I did want to touch base, and Kent, I know you've got some things you want to go with. Was I want to know what your thoughts were when you heard Matt Campbell was leaving. When you heard that.
Sure.
Sean, take us away, buddy.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com.
In the heart of Des Moines, one name has stood above the rest: Iowa Beef Steakhouse. Step inside, and you enter a place where tradition still matters, where the atmosphere feels familiar, warm, and unmistakably Iowa. Service isn't rushed. It's personal, attentive, and rooted in genuine care. And before the main event, the freshest start in the city, our signature salad bar, crafted every single day. Then comes the reason people have returned for generations: Iowa beef, hand-seasoned with pride. Guided by flame, forged by heat. This is where flavor becomes legend. Served with the same care it was crafted with, a meal meant to be remembered. And whether the night calls for bold, smooth, or something in between, our bar offers a selection as rich as our history, including the old-fashioned we've become known for: balanced, timeless, unforgettable. And long after the fire cools, the glow of this place stays with you. Iowa Beef Steakhouse, 1201 East Euclid Avenue, Des Moines, Iowa, where Iowa comes for steak, done right.
Hey, how's that sound? A little Revelton, a little steak. Sounds like a good evening for me.
That
We're
old fashioned grabbed my attention.
We're thinking we ought to be doing that at the beef house too. Holy cow. Can't go ahead, man. I know
you guys are. You got a hell of a show going. No question. You're going to have a lot of continued success. And I figured this out a long time ago, and that's one of the reasons I think I lasted a long time. When we worked, nobody outworked us. But when we played hard. So when we worked hard, and we played hard. You got to enjoy life a little bit. When they say slow down and smell the roses a little bit, that's a pretty good idea, no matter what walk of life you're in.
No doubt about it.
Yes, sir, Coach. And it's just if our show has success, it's not based on Keith or myself. It's guests. It's our players, right? It's the players you put on the field. It's the guests we bring in here, and we're really grateful. I gotta get to the NIL and the portal, because it's really changed the dynamic of college football. Just your thoughts. I mean, there's really no one single question, because it's such a broad topic. So NIL and the portal.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, as the head coach, we always, we had our meetings at the National Coaches Convention every year when there's 10,000 coaches. We had our spring meetings every year at the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs in the Big 12, all 12 years that I was there. And we were always talking about trying to help student athletes. What can we do to make their experience better? What can we do to improve it? Unfortunately, there was never any legislation or rules passed, or it didn't change while I was still coaching. But now it's a different world, as we know. Everybody's figured that out now. It's completely different. NIL and the transfer portal has really changed college football. I love that student athletes are getting paid. I love that part of it, because there's so much money that's coming in now, and it's not only the receipts, not only for tickets, game tickets that are sold, and concessions in stadiums, and donations from the great donors that support these universities, but it's bowl money, it's bowl revenue, it's playoff money, it's huge TV money, as you guys know, that's coming in to all of these schools. And now the NC2A is saying, okay, the arm of your fundraising with NIL, you're not going to do that anymore. But I think the money is $22 million is going to go to each of the Power 4 schools. Then it's up to the athletic director to say, okay, here's what each of these teams get, men's and women's, with the priority going to be men's football, men's basketball, and women's basketball. And then it's up to each of those individual coaches to distribute it amongst their players and their recruits. that obviously can get real sensitive, and that can be real tough, and that can be really hard to monitor all that. But you better figure it out because it's here to stay. What I don't like is being able just to transfer every year, anytime. You see all these guys that are going to 2 and 3 and 4 schools. That part I hate. Are you leaving because you're successful? Are you leaving because you're unsuccessful? Are you just looking? Are you making these moves with your hand out? Who's pushing you to do that? Is it your mom, your dad, your grandpa, your agent buddy, your friend, your pal, your brother, everybody that wants a piece of the action? Are they the ones pushing you towards that? I don't know, but that part of it, can't answer your question. That part of it, I just hate to see. It's just hard to manage rosters these days. And then when you see a coach leave, whether it's Matt Campbell like all the coaches that made moves after really good seasons, then you see en masse those players that trust and respect and believe and have experience and they have confidence in that coach and that coaching staff going with them. Well, then there's a huge void in the program that coach just left. Iowa State's a great example, but it sure is. We're not a solo example out there. There's all kinds of them because there's major transition every year at the end of the season. So that part I just hate to see. But I didn't have to experience it. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm really almost glad that by the time I finished my career and got almost a half a century in, I didn't have to deal with it. There's a lot of hats you have to wear as a head football coach. There's a lot of lives that you want to try and improve, change, enhance every day. And that was at the heart of what I wanted to always try and do as a head football coach, managing all that now. And the other thing that's so different, as you guys know, do you know how many coaches used to be on coaching staffs? I'm thinking back with Hayden Fry and that staff we were talking about earlier. It was Hayden Fry, 9 full-time coaches, a strength coach, an operations guy, 4 graduate assistants, and that was about it. That was all you were allowed. And now you walk in, you have to build new facilities just to have bigger staff meeting rooms for all these coaching staffs now because they're 20, 30, 40, 50 that are on staffs nowadays. And everybody wants a title these days. Everybody got a title. But they have these big, huge coaching staffs, and it's a nutrition staff. It's a strength staff. It's a mental illness staff. It's a football staff. All these things that go into it now. And the part that would have been hard for me is to be a CEO and get away from the football stuff because you got all these other people that can take care of all those things. That's why I hope that the coaches still stay in the heart of that, in the soul of that, in the guts of that part of it, getting in there and watching tape and coaching your butt off and trying to take a guy that may not have been heavily recruited to a really good player. Maybe a guy that had lots of opportunities and he had a setback as a freshman and he got his tail kicked up between his shoulder blades like a lot of freshmen do. And you bring him out of that and he ends up being one of the best players that ever pulled on a uniform at your school. Taking guys that didn't have any opportunities and end up being some of your best players, a la Jordan Karstens, one of the walk-on for me at Iowa State, got a number of years in the NFL. Just to use that as an example, but those success stories are such a great feel-good story. And now there's so much more that has to go in. Manage your roster. Who are we going to have? The game's over. Who are we going to have? This game's over. We're not going to play in the bowl game. Cancel the bowl game. I'm not playing. I'm opting out. That stuff just drives me nuts because I think I mentioned before, guys, I think I was in 21 bowl games. It was a reward for a long 9-10 months of work to get you in that position. And let's match up our team and our conference against another one and make it a great time for the fans and the families of the players and the coaches. I got to coach in 3 Rose Bowls, the granddaddies of them all, Sugar Bowls, Orange Bowls, Holiday Bowls, you name it, all the Peach Bowls, all these bowl games. And yet one of the most rewarding ones to me was that 2000 Inside.com bowl team at Iowa State because nobody had ever done it before.
Yeah, right.
And that memory of being able to go back and do that. And had we had the transfer portal in place, the NIL, I don't know. Hopefully we would have been able to have done it. Hopefully I would have handled the transfer portal the right way and handled, all that. But I don't know that we could have done it with all that other stuff going on, not like nowadays.
Coach, I got a question for you. You go 9-3. You get to go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. You're sitting down. You're getting ready to get game plans ready, getting travel things. Are
Still got me, guys?
sticky. Yep. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? So the next.
I can't hear you. Still on?
Yeah. Can you hear me, Kent?
Yes.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Okay.
We're good. We're good.
You go 9-3. You're going to go to the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and you're getting ready to get.
I'm not
going
getting Keith. Sorry, guys.
You're not getting me right now? How about now? Can't ask him. Maybe ask him
Yeah,
this question.
Coach, can you
There
hear
you
me?
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. You get 7 kids come
there,
into your
Keith?
office. 7 kids come in and say,
Kent?
I'm done playing. I'm not going to
Coach-
play in the bowl game. Kent, can you ask him that?
Yeah, Coach, if you can hear me, I think
Gotcha.
Keith's question is, what do you do in a situation? He's talking about going 9-3 and you're getting ready for a bowl game and you got kids coming in saying, I don't want to play.
And you
I'm
feed
out
them
now.
in.
A great question, Keith. How do you handle it? I mean, how do you handle it? It's just first of all, first thing I would do is just get really, really upset, because don't let your teammates down. Don't let your guys, your brothers down. We've come this far. You think for 1 second that you got to this point without the support of the academic support, the coaches, the strength staff, the head coach, the coordinators, your position coach? Do you think you'd have this opportunity right now after college without all of those people's input and loving you and hugging you and kicking you in the ass when you need it and hugging you when you needed it, loving you up when you needed it? And then you're just going to say, well, you know what? I appreciate everything, but I'm not going to play in this game. I would have a lot of trouble with that. I would have a lot of trouble. It just goes right back to we've done this together. We built this together. We built something special. We experienced something. We achieved some things that nobody ever thought we could. And when you did achieve things that people thought you could and you went beyond that, it's pretty special. Well, let's finish this thing off. And this might sound crazy, guys, but think about this. I think, and I've said this because I've talked to other coaches, but I've said this just with my simple Irish mind that I have. How about this deal? We break the payments in your NIL into payments like they do in the NFL. And if you don't play in the bowl game or the postseason, then you don't get that last check. That's part of your commitment, part of your responsibility is to finish what you started and finish the season that you started and not pull that BS of I'm opting out, opting out. And you know how many guys that opt out that aren't going to go in the first and second and third round, guys? Truckloads.
Yeah.
Truckloads. But they get people in their ears giving them this happy horse shit that you're going to be a high round draft pick instead of going to play one more game against another really good team with good players and good coaches and prove yourself again and put some more real good performance on tape for the NFL guys rather than I'm going to sit this one out. I'm going to chill. I'm going to cheer for you guys, but I'm not going to play in this last game. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I get a little excited about talking about that one, Keith.
4,500 kids went into the Division I portal. 4,500. There's still 1,200
Still not here,
of
Keith.
them.
Sorry, guys.
So there's still 1,200 that aren't on a team. Kent.
Yeah, we're talking there's 4,500 Division I kids went into the portal and 1,200 still aren't on a team. And they might not get on a team because there's not that many scholarships left.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly, Kent. There's no scholarships. There's only so many. It's still 85 last time I checked. And when they fill up, they fill up. And then you're out there like what we talked about earlier. What are you going to do? Turn around and go back to that coach and say, listen, I tried here, I tried there, I tried there, I tried here. I called this coach, I called there. My agent called these places, but I'm sitting here with nothing to show for it, and I'd like to come back. Don't let the door hit you in the ass. You're done here. I wouldn't give him a chance to come back. No chance you're coming back.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. I think that's, I get a little excited too. And it's just, it's that, we have that fight song, Loyal Sons Forever True. And we sing it and and then we decide not to play. That's just real a pain point for me. And I think it's not really, it's not a referendum on the kid's character personally. It's just getting some bad advice from people in their ear, trying to, like you said, agents and friends, et cetera. And just makes it tough. makes it tough world.
Can you hear me now?
It is, and the good news is they're there's phenomenal opportunities now, and student athletes now can earn a lot of money, which is great, which is fantastic beyond their scholarship. It always got the hair up in the back of my neck when people always say these players have free education. They have free education. No, there's nothing free about it. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you're on scholarship, and the commitment, as you guys know, both of you were real successful, the time that you put in, the effort, and people have no idea. They just have no idea what it takes, and all the hours and the time and the commitment and all those things. So to get taken care of now financially, fantastic. But I just don't like just the opting out really bothers me. And all these guys just hauling ass as fast as they can. You just wonder about the distractions that they have during the year. Do they start?
Yeah.
About that stuff late in the season? School am I talk to? How much money can I get here? How can they're human beings, they're not robots. And with all the stuff with social media. So, but in the end, guys, it's still a phenomenal game. We're going to watch it, hopefully a heck of a matchup tomorrow night. Indiana's never done it, never been there. I did get to see them in the game against Iowa City, as I mentioned, when I went back to talk to the team, Kirk's the Hawkeye team that day on Friday before the game, and then watch them the next day. And I told them the game, they'd gotten blown out. They blew out Illinois the week before, just humiliated Brett Bielema's good Illinois team who won 9 games this year. Indiana just blew them out. I told the Hawks, I said, that's not going to happen tomorrow. I've watched you. I've watched them. This is going to go to the fourth quarter. It's going to be a real close game. Whoever makes the plays when the game is on the line is going to win this game. Is it you or is it them? I shared some things that Coach Signetti had shared after they humiliated Illinois. I just didn't like it. Just wasn't real classy and professional. Some of the he said he's a hell of a coach, and I'm cheering for him tomorrow night. And I live in Florida, but I'm cheering for the Big Ten and Indiana tomorrow night. And it did go to the late in the game. I didn't know at the time I was starting quarterback and starting Mike linebacker were going to get hurt and miss the last 7 minutes of the game. But they played their ass off against Indiana. But I just think they're a complete team. And he's done, as you guys know, done an amazing job with the transfer portal.
Yeah.
All those James Madison guys a year ago, a few James Madison guys still on the team this year, but going right back to that transfer portal and getting some real high-quality guys. And just because you get a transfer doesn't mean that team is going to be successful. Some people get carried away with that. You still have to coach. You still have to bring them together. There still has to be chemistry. Still has to be great leadership. You still have to get guys to put the team first. That's not easy, obviously, in this world that we're in college football. But what an incredible job both those places have done. Miami, of course, lost 2 games, didn't play well mid-season, lost a couple games, but they've come roaring back. And hopefully it's just a good game, because 3 of the 4 the games that were played a couple of weeks ago were not good games. Yeah. 3 of them were butt kickings, blowouts. But you hope by we get to the game tomorrow night, we come to the final 2, that it's a heck of a game. But one team's going to hold up that trophy and one's going to be horribly disappointed. But it should be hopefully a heck of a finish to the college football season.
Coach, you got me now? Can you hear me now? Nope.
No, okay. For some reason we can't hear Keith. Coach, I do want to. I got a couple questions. Your time, but I'm going to go back to Iowa State, and I'll let Keith try to get his technical difficulty here straightened out. What a memory! A couple. You can't put it all in one memory. I know that, but there have to be some moments that just stay with you forever. And they're going to be all of them. I realize that this are not an easy question to answer, but what stands out in your mind about your time at Iowa State?
The people, the players, the coaches that bought in through those years. I love staying in touch with them. I love talking to them. I'm on text groups with a whole bunch of them. The memories we made, the things that we did that nobody thought we could. You know, the 98 game, it's an obvious one, but it's still so meaningful because I knew how much it meant to Iowa State fans after 15 years. And many of those losses weren't even competitive. I was at Iowa for many of them. They weren't even competitive. It was embarrassing. And Coach Fry was, you know, he wasn't backing off late in games if he was way up. I mean, he was going to put as many points on the board. And I remember 97, guys, we had lost. It was, we're trying to build the thing, obviously, and they had a heck of a team. There was a touchdown pass to Tim Dwight to put up over 60 points on us, and it wasn't because Hayden hated me; he just hated Iowa State, and he wanted to embarrass Iowa State any chance that he could, and he did that day. But those guys that played in that game never forgot that, and I had a really good feeling that week, even though we'd lost to TCU in our opener. I just had a really good feeling about the approach and the attitude and the confidence. Despite losing the opener, that we could go win that game. We were 29.5-point underdogs and found a way to win 27-9. And then to stop that horrible streak. And then we won 5 in a row, and we won 6 of them, twice when they were in the top 10. The 2002 game, I still hear a lot from my former players and buddies and fans and friends, and that we cost Iowa shot at the national championship that year because they went undefeated in the Big Ten. We were down 24-7 at half. It felt 44-7. That's what it felt like. We had to adjust attitude. We didn't have to do it. It had nothing to do with X's and O's at halftime. We had to adjust attitudes and confidence and belief. At halftime, we were fortunate to do that. Our players responded. We came back with a 36-31 win. That was incredible. I don't want to just say all the Iowa wins were so meaningful, but I knew after so many years of really tough losses and heartbreaking, and where the Iowa State fans were just, they called it a rivalry, but there's no rivalry when one team just keeps kicking the other team's ass all the time. To bring that back was so meaningful. Winning that first bowl game was incredible, so meaningful. Going down to Texas A&M, we were huge underdogs. Kyle Field's one of the great places in all of America. And when they started rolling out of the stadium and leaving early in the fourth quarter because our football team, led by Brett Meyer and Todd Blythe, had put on a show that day. Todd Blythe was named the Offensive Player of the Week in college football with 4 touchdown passes, receptions, incredible opportunity, great experience. After what Nebraska had done to Iowa State so many years, we finally got that thing done, beat them 36-14 in Jack Trice. Great memory. And then there's so many of them, Kent, but the last one, which was obviously an emotional one, it was the last time I knew that I was going to be coaching at Iowa State, but we beat a really good Missouri team that was going to a bowl game led by Gary Pinkel, their head football coach. And that team reached down and found something extra to finish it out in style. Ryan Cook rushed for, I think, about 175 yards that day. Now, I'll forget what I had for lunch, but I'll remember statistics. Isn't that funny how that?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. In this simple, small mind of mine, you can remember those things, but just and then this just might seem kind of goofy and maybe a little sentimental, but we used to take our call-in show. Pete Taylor and I did it in my office for years and years and years, and I wouldn't even give you some of the face contortions and the expressions and the smiles and the laughs and some of the things that Pete was doing when we get a call now and then. It was a little off base and maybe a little crazy and a little wild. And it was just the two of us in my office. Then we ended up moving the show with John Walters after Pete had passed away. We lost him, and how fortunate I was to get to work with Pete Taylor and John Walters, two of the best ever in the business, two of the best Iowans I've ever known. And then we went to what's the restaurant down there? Applebee's, and we had our show there. And so that was a lot of fun. And in the last show that I had, the Tuesday before the Missouri game, all the head coaches from Iowa State, men's and women's coaches, showed up there. The place was jam-packed, and it was really a tribute to our players and our coaches and what everyone had done for the 12 years, not just because of, it's the last game. It was really so meaningful because I really I thought I took it as a great responsibility to try and support all the other teams. Some coaches are better than that and others in college football, college athletics. To me, it was easy because of the coaches that were there by my side. And I got to coach with at Iowa State. I loved them. I appreciated them. I respected. I stay in touch with many of them. And they all showed up at that last call-in show that we had that Tuesday. That's a really cool memory, a special memory. And it was just, I think, a thanks to everyone that had given so much to Iowa State football for 12 years.
Coach, you're very humble, and you talk about I know they were all there for you and everything you've done. When we had Coach Walden in here, we talked about how Coach Walden, sort of really just saved Iowa State football at a really, really bad time. And then when you came in, you elevated it to a level that we hadn't ever seen before. And I know you're so humble, and it's amazing what you've done. And I feel like I'm wrapping this up here, but I'm not. But I just you're talking about everything that was done, and people were doing it. They were doing it for you. And there's no doubt that Iowa State has a lot of love for you. Even guys that never played for you, listening to you here for about an hour, I'm like, I've got goosebumps, man. I'm ready to go, and I'm just too damn old. But just really, just truly what you did for Iowa State football, just elevated it. Keith had a question, and I'm going to have to ask. I think he's still having a problem with his mic.
Can you hear me now? Nope, still can't hear me. I wonder what's going on because everybody else can hear me.
When Matt Campbell left, Coach, how'd you find out, and what were your thoughts? And that was certainly a shocker. And just want to hear your thoughts on that, if you would, please.
Yeah, first of all, I heard from, I knew what was going on real soon, real fast, as you can imagine. I've been really connected to Matt and that program. I don't know what happened, guys. I don't know why. I never bitched. I never complained, but I was never invited back to Iowa State until Matt Campbell took the job. And the first day on the job, he called and he said, "You need to come back. I want you back. I want your players. I want your coaches." It still would have been nice to have gotten that invitation, even if I was at Florida winning a national championship, or South Florida winning 9 games, and we went to number 2 in the country, and it would have just been nice. I would have loved coaching at North Texas just to get the call, come back. And even whether I could have come or not, I would have loved that. It never happened. That's a long way beyond us. I don't hold any grudges. I'm not mad about it, but it brings to point that how much it meant to me to get the call from Matt Campbell first day on the job. And we want you back, Matt. You need to come back here. I want to meet you. I want to talk to you. I want you to speak at our coaches clinic this spring. I want you to come to practice. I want you to come to camp. I just want you to come back. It meant so much. So from then on, it was easy. And then if I bought in to the new head coach, believe me, all the players that played for me that I stay in contact with and I'm connected to really bought in. And whenever he needed to do something or have a project or raise money, my guys led it. And then there's guys from other years, obviously, but when it came time for those things, the postgraduate job situation, the mentor program, my guys jumped in and led that. When they wanted to raise money for NIL, they jumped in with that thing and led. I mean, the list is endless of my guys that did that, but it was so meaningful. So my point is, I was really connected. I loved Matt. He was so good to me. I felt connected to the program and gave everything I had from a support standpoint, just cheering for the Cyclones and for Matt. And we talked many, many, many times through the years. I'll get to go back to the coaches clinic here in end of February, 1,600 coaches. But I always got to, they brought me back to speak. Now they call me the ambassador of the clinic, and I speak again because they're hard up for entertainment. So I'll speak again this year for a little while. But I'd get to introduce Matt. I'd get to introduce Kirk Ferentz. I was the featured speaker one year, introduced Bobby Stoops a couple of years ago. It's just fun to go back. But I'd always spend time and get to hang with Matt at the clinic. Always enjoyed that. But it was not a surprise that he got the opportunity that he did. I felt like I told my friends, and I didn't say anything to Matt, but I told my family and friends and people closest to me, there were 2 jobs that opened up this year that I was worried that Matt might leave for Iowa State because he had such success. He loved it there. His wife loved Ames, the family. It's a great place to work. It's a great place to live. State of Iowa is an incredible place. But the 2 jobs I worried about that Matt Campbell may leave for was either Florida, where I won a national championship with Urban in 2009, or Penn State. Those were the 2 that I was worried about for a lot of reasons. But those are 2 programs, no question, I felt like you can win a national championship. They have at both those places. It's been a while for Penn State, but they've done it in the past with Joe Paterno. They've done it at Florida with Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer. And I worried that those 2 places, with the resources and the history and the tradition and the money and the facilities and 100,000 seat stadiums or more, that those 2 might lure Matt. So when we all kept hearing about all these other coaches that were their top Penn State guys, and I just kept going, And then they hired the coach from Tulane to go to Florida. I went, we're good. Matt's not going to Gainesville. And then all these other guys were supposedly their top guys. And then after the last offer to the BYU coach, who's done an incredible job, phenomenal job at BYU, when he slept on it, prayed on it, decided to stay at BYU, then the next call that was made was to Matt Campbell. And just long story short, guys, there were apologies made to Matt. I know this firsthand of the way that whole thing was handled, because he should have been either number one or number two interview. If I'm an AD or president or chancellor at Penn State, I'm going to interview that guy. If I know as much as I know about it, I'm going to interview that guy quick, and I'm going to try and close the deal. They did that, and the AD looks really smart now for hiring Matt. But I understand the disappointment with Cyclone fans. I understand when a lot of players leave and go with Matt Campbell. I understand that. At the same time, we should really, really be thankful for the amazing, incredible history-making seasons that we got under Matt's leadership and his staff and his team and those players. We went places we'd never been before. Some of the best players to ever pull on a uniform played for Matt. Some of the best teams in the history of Iowa State football played for Matt. And in the end, I always told my staff this, guys, when you're making a decision, there's three things that you got to look at. Now, it's up to you to decide which one's the most important, but there's a personal side, a professional side, and a financial side. And you got to decide which one is the most important to you, and you rank and prioritize those three when you're making a decision. Because I think those are the most important parts of making those kind of big decisions that affect so many people's lives. But in the end, I think Matt made a decision that it's a place obviously closer to home, closer to parents, closer to family. That's a personal side of it. The financial side, we weren't going to compete with that. I don't care what anybody says. The money is incredible there. The professional side of it, it's a place where you can win a national championship, and not to say that we can at Iowa State. I don't want to kill anybody's spirit or Jimmy's future saying you can't. First of all, we got to win a conference championship. We missed 2 overtime kicks when I was at Iowa State that kept us out of the Big 12 championship game 2 different years. Didn't get there. Matt did get there twice. We still haven't won it. This is 2026. We still haven't won a conference championship, much less a national championship. Is the opportunity better at a place like Penn State? Probably, because, first of all, guys, how close are you to great athletes and great players? The numbers of players that are close to your campus, where you don't have to fly all over the country for parents to come follow, girlfriends to follow, grandparents to follow, high school coaches to follow. Just having that amazing distance that's short to these great athletes all over Pennsylvania, Ohio, New York, New Jersey that are close by. So I'm not mad about it one bit. Was I disappointed when it first happened? Of course, because I love Iowa State. But I think the whole thing from Matt's standpoint, he could have left sooner. He could have left. He definitely was offered a job in the NFL. I know that. That's a fact, Jack. That's the real deal. A head job in the NFL. He didn't think he was ready. He just said no a couple of years ago. There's other college jobs that made overtures and offers. But I think in the end, that was a place that he felt like, if I'm going to leave Iowa State, there's just not many places to go. There's just not many that I would consider. But Penn State was one of them. He made that decision. I'm going to cheer like crazy for Penn State. I know a lot of Iowa State fans may not feel that way. I will, because I love the guy. I respect him, and I hope he kicks ass in the Big Ten and has a great career there. I sure as heck going to keep cheering for the Cyclones because the place means so much to me. Now that we have a new head coach and a guy that he's young, but I think he's got all those intangibles that we're all looking for to lead a program. You can't put a value on great leadership, guys, but you can put a face on it. Well, the face of great leadership in the state of Iowa, there's been a lot of them through the years. Hayden Fry, Lute Olson, Dan Gable, Kirk Ferentz, Johnny Orr, Tim Floyd, Johnny Majors, Earl Bruce, some phenomenal coaches through the years. Jim Walden, great leader, hell of a guy, good person, just a really good person. But you can put a face on it. And there's no question that Matt had those qualities, and that's why he's the head coach at Penn State, and that's why he had the success he had at Iowa State. And I hope and believe and pray that Jimmy's going to do the same thing at the Iowa State program. So I don't know. I didn't mean to just take off and get going on that, but I feel really, I'm just so thankful that we had Matt for the 10 years. I don't think any of us should ever regret that he did what he did, because in his mind, it was best for his family and for his future. And yet we should all be so thankful for what he did, because those were some amazing times.
Yep.
And doing some of those things that none of us thought could probably happen. He did it, and he did it with style, and he did it with character, and he did it with integrity.
Yeah. Yes, sir. He did. Coach, we have a segment here. We're gonna take a short break. On this segment, we're gonna allow you to make one rule. If you could make one rule in college athletics or college football, what would that be? We'll take a short, very short break. We'll come back with that rule.
This is the Storm Anchor Amendment, where our guest steps behind the podium and makes one rule change to reshape college sports. No limits, no red tape, just their decree.
There we go.
And here we are, Coach. We don't give you much time to think about that. But I know you're a great thinker on your feet. What would you change, Coach?
There's a lot of them, Keith. There's a lot of things out there that, you just like to see some minor adjustments made. The game is a phenomenal game. It just is. It's an amazing game. One of the that really bothers me most, and of course, when I spent half my career as a head coach and the other half as a defensive coordinator, defensive line coach. I don't like what we're doing. I don't like what we're doing right now with the targeting rule. I hate it that guys have to sit out another half. I would like to see just easily. I think you could tier it easily, a tier 1, tier 2, call it whatever you want. But for a real targeting where it looks like somebody really could have gotten hurt, and the intention was to lead with the head and to really maybe try and knock somebody out of a game, I understand that. But a lot of things are incidental, and you see offensive players at the last second duck ahead, drop down. The defensive player's coming in, he's going to lead with the shoulder or the chest, and it ends up being a head-to-head collision. And then you sit out the next, if it's the first half, you sit out the second half. If it's the second half, you sit out the first half of the next game. I don't like it. You don't do it in the NFL. It's a personal foul in the NFL, but they're not ejecting players for targeting. I just don't like the rule. I don't, and I don't. We've done a lot of things to protect guys and make the game better and keep it healthier. And of course, the game was changed. A lot of the rules were changed to score more points because people they're excited. They want to see people love that 48-45. I don't. I really appreciate and respect defense. I don't want to see track meets like that, but the fans love it. I understand that. But I just don't think it's fair. And I just read when I got home a little bit ago before we started the show, I just saw on my phone that Coach Cristobal's talking about it because he's got a DB that's out of the first half tomorrow night's game.
That was a horrible
I just
call.
hate to see that. You played football the game since you were playing tackle the man with the football when you're 10 years old in the backyard. Now you're going to get a chance to play with the national championship. Yeah. And you have to sit an entire half from the last game. So I hope we could. That would be one of the first things, Keith, that I would change.
Can you hear me now, Coach? My mic's been in and out. Doesn't look like it.
Nope.
No, I can't. I don't know what's going on.
And Coach, I've got to do something here I don't normally do, but we talked about this off camera before. We had a couple kids that in common that we both coached, both Iowa Staters, so I coached them later overseas. And I would be remiss if I did not mention their names and have a couple comments from you because I had them for a year. You had them for longer than that, and they were just wonderful guys, and we had a lot of success with them. So Bo Coleman, and I think he would have played in that Nebraska game.
He did.
Dave, yes, sir. And then Jeff Waters, he was a safety. And I remember talking to Coach Bobby Elliott about him, trying to get him to come over. But just some comments about those guys because some Iowa State people might remember their names.
Well, you just mentioned three guys that were just thank they were a part of my journey in life, Kent. Bobby Elliott, and I'll hit that just quickly. Bobby and I came in the same time. His dad had just taken the job as athletic director at Iowa. He just graduated from Pioneer. He didn't graduate. He just finished the football season at Pioneer High School. up in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And then he came down and played basketball and ran track that spring. And that's the first time Bobby and we visited the same time at Iowa, took our official visits at the same time. We end up competing against each other in track in the spring. I always kidded Bobby because I went out for track because I knew it was good for my football. I sure as heck couldn't run like you could, Kent. You were fast now, man. I'm talking about real fast. We always kidded because Bobby was a good long jumper, but we'd always mess with him all the time in college. Said, hell, I went down the Drake Relays and watched you down there. I ran in a relay one year at the Drake Relays, but I went down there and watched you, and you didn't even make it to the damn pit in a long jump down at the Drake Relays. But Bobby and I were roommates, classmates, teammates, and then we were graduate assistants together at Iowa. And then lo and behold, we ended up coaching together, and he'd gone through a near-death experience with a 20 years of health issues. And he came out of that, and I brought him back to Iowa State, and he was part of that bowl championship program that we built. Just really a cool guy. But Jeff Waters, Bo Coleman, both California JC guys, we had we really need to inject some experience and some maturity and some talent, so that one year we signed more JC guys than any other years that I was at Iowa State, and Bo and Jeff were part of that. I'll tell you another story that I remember. We were getting ready to play that Iowa game, 29.5-point underdogs that I mentioned earlier, and Jamarcus Powers, Jeff Waters, they had their hair dyed gold. And so we get through a Thursday's practice, and they both, at the end of practice, make some announcements like always, guys. Then I give them a quick little shot. And Matt McGettigan, my strength coach, was with me all 12 years. He gave him a quick shot. And then I let the players always just talk. Everybody got a cheer today. Anybody got something you want to say? And Jeff Waters and Jamarcus Powers go, hey, Coach, how about we go beat the Hawks? You get a big old tattoo, a big Cyclone tattoo, and in front of the whole team. I said, listen, here's what I'm not going to do the tattoo thing, but I will dye my hair gold like you guys if we go beat the Hawks. And so they go, all right, Getty, how about you, Getty? And Getty goes, yeah, I'll get a Cyclone tattoo if we go over there and beat them. As soon as that damn game's over, you think those kids are talking? We're all celebrating, hell of a deal. 27-9, took them behind the woodshed and kicked that Hawkeye ass. And they're in the locker room, and they're talking about, you got to get your hair gold. You got to get your hair gold. Getty, you got to get a tattoo. So anyway, he ended up getting a tattoo. He still got it to this day, coaching at Air Force, strength coach all these years. And I got, Margie went and got this gold spray that you get at hair salons, sprayed it gold. And it ended up being on the cover of the Des Moines Register and the Chicago Tribune. And it took about 20 shampoos to get the gold out of my hair, but it was worth it, guys. But Jeff Waters played a big part in that. Bo Coleman, those are guys that just they came in, they believed, they bought in. When you bring guys in, we're just selling this. Fight for your brother. Fight for each other. Fight for what's available. Let's not make excuses. Let's make history. Let's have some fun. Let's do something that's never been done around here. And if we give everything that we have as coaches and players and it's not good enough, then live with that and still appreciate the journey that we've had together. And those are two guys that really bought into that, Kent. And I appreciate you bringing them up. They're special guys, and I love them, and I'll always respect them and appreciate what they gave to Iowa State in the time that we spent together.
Yes, sir, Coach. I still have contact with them. I'll let them know that you said some things about them. They'll really appreciate it. They just loved you. They loved their time at Iowa State, as we all do. And it's probably, we've kind of kept you about 23 minutes over here. And but Coach, I think Keith's still having some problems with his mic, but I just want to say from both of us, I want to suit it up. I tell you what, who would not want to play for you? Who would not want to work for you? Who would not want to be around you? And certainly at Iowa State University, Coach, we are so fortunate to have had you as our head coach. And I cannot wait to look you in the eye and shake your hand in person. It's been a few years, and talk about, maybe we'll tell some other stories about Bo and Jeff that maybe we can't. I've got some Germany stories about him for sure, but just so delightful, such a competitor, and who would not want to work for you and play for you, Coach? Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Iowa State, everybody loves you. You always have a home in Iowa, and I know you feel that.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. Honored to be with you guys. I mean that sincerely. You got a great thing going, and sorry about the microphone thing there, Keith, but we still made it work. You know, you got to adjust sometimes. You just got to adjust a little bit.
His wife wants to know the secret to that.
I know this much, guys. We're all trying to, eventually everyone dies. I'm trying to put it off as long as I can. We all are. I had a couple near-death experiences, but I'm going strong now. Everyone's going to eventually die, but not everyone really lives. I really had the chance to really live. I don't have. I just can't be thankful enough for the opportunities that I had and the people I've met and the experiences and the relationships here all these years later. And I get the honor to come on and be with you guys that are promoting college football and promoting the Cyclones. And it's really great to be with you. But it's just another chapter in this amazing life that I've led. And I really have great respect for you guys and appreciate what you're doing. And it's been great to be with you guys tonight.
Coach, thanks a lot. You bet.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Go Cyclones. Have a great night, guys.
You will.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Wow, that was awesome. And can you guys could always hear me, right?
Yeah, I don't know what was happening there.
I don't know
I couldn't
either.
hear you. I
It's
feel
all
bad, but
No, it's all
Yeah,
good.
what-
I mean, we got the questions I wanted to ask. So
I was just kind of spinning there, and I didn't want to be staring at my phone reading your question. So
sure, no, it's all good. So yeah,
hey,
it was awesome. I knew he was there. I had one other thing I wanted to get into with him, but he just kept going. I was like, hey man, that's awesome.
let
So,
him go.
Man, that was a great show, great opportunity. Looking forward to this coming week where we're going to have Jeff Hornacek on, and we'll air that in a couple weeks. Looking forward to that. So appreciate everybody that took their time away from watching the Bears and the Rams live and sat down and listened to us rehash a little bit about Iowa State. Kent, talk to you tomorrow, buddy.
We're tracking the storm, watching it form from Crutchfield's grind to Troy's 2K storms. Seneca spinning through the rain and roar, turning third and long to forevermore. From Jackson Will to the Campbell years, we build up hope out of heartbreaking tears. Yeah, the line holds strong and the faith's reborn. We're keeping eyes on tomorrow by tracking the storm. Here comes Johnny Orr, fist up in the air. Tonight's show theme and that Hilton stare. Took a quiet Coliseum, turned it into a spare. Where top 25 giants learn to fear this well. Hilton magic swirling like a cyclone wind. We're nine on the pivot, made the rafters spin. Step back, jumper, drive down the lane to